Going to start everything over. Somebody was watching, they could tell that we had the moment of silence. We had the pledge. I didn't have my mic on. My apologies. We are broadcasting live on Microsoft Teams live event, as well as BCTV, YouTube, and Facebook Live. At this time, I want to recognize the team from the Greater Reading Chamber Alliance. We have Deb Millman and Aaron Gantz. And this is the 6-month presentation dealing with the economic development contract that we have with the GRCA. So I will turn it over. Based on the order, I'm assuming Deb Millman is going to kick this off.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Thank you for the opportunity to present our mid-year report. And it's, as you said, it's hard to believe it's already July and we're here at this halfway mark. As always, we want to thank you for your support and your continuing partnership with the work that we do, and we really do consider it a partnership. When I was thinking about our presentation this morning, I really did start to think about all the ways that we do intersect with the county in our work. You know, obviously we're engaged all of the time with Pam and Derek, but even the other departments that Pam oversees, such as planning, workforce development, Department of Ag, it really is an ongoing conversation. We really are working on a lot of exciting things in partnership with David Hunter and Emily and Dan Fogarty, and we really do appreciate.
And those are folks in planning.
Yes.
And workforce development. We know that, but somebody not. Three different, it's bringing in 3 different departments.
Exactly. And, you know, we also have really newly reinvigorated partnership with the IDA, with the Airport Authority. And we really do feel like we are just immersed, you know, organizationally more than we have in any other time. And the collaboration is really stellar. And, you know, obviously the Imagine Berks effort has really brought together a lot of different groups. And I really do think that this is a period of time of really remarkable collaboration. So we're pleased to be here today. And I'll turn it over to Erin, Senior Director of Economic Development, her full title for GRCA, and look forward to any questions you might have after the presentation. So.
Thank you, Deb.
Good morning.
Good morning.
In addition to the generous support from the County of Berks, we're pleased to have over 40 private sector economic development investors supporting the mission-based work of our economic development work at our organization. So I wanted to start off the presentation with some just feel-good stats about our community. Over the last 18 months, we've tracked over 40 new and expanding businesses in Berks. Many of them are small businesses. Over the last nearly 18,000 students are enrolled at Berks-based higher education institutions. In the last 30 days, over 9,500 active open jobs have been posted, and those are primarily nursing and warehouse positions. And as you know from our Workforce Development Board, the unemployment rate remains relatively low. And from a jobs and GDP perspective, manufacturing continues to be the #1 industry in our community. Also recently, some rankings came out again. Greater Reading ranked in the top 150 best places to live in the United States. The top 8 in the state of Pennsylvania coming in at number 6. We're in the top 25 safest places to live in the United States. And we are a top 10 place to retire in the United States. So a lot of great stats that, you know, we should all be shouting from the rooftops when we think about how wonderful it is to live and work here.
So I have to jump in, safest place. I think that comes, and this is not new. It may not feel that way for people that are local. They look at some of the challenges in and around the city of Reading, but we forget this is a perspective looking at Reading, Greater Reading, and every other community across the country. It's not always best to compare yourself to people that are worse, but that's part of the challenge here that we often miss because we can be critical of ourselves, and it's good to be critical. You look at yourself and you make yourself better. You try to make your community better. But I've seen this before, and I know there are people, the minute they hear that, say, no way. I'm going to throw out all the stats. That can't be true. But again, it's in comparison to other areas. And it's not just Reading, it's the greater Reading,
Yes,
Berks County.
it's the Reading
area.
MSA, which is
Right.
Berks County. Yep.
Sorry to interrupt.
Oh my gosh, no. So when we presented to you in February, we shared our strategic focus in 2023 would be on business and industry growth, retention and attraction, as well as broad community and economic development. So I'm excited to share my graphics look a little strange, but that's okay. What we've been working on over the last 6 months. We've worked with over 70 industry diverse companies on both growth, retention, and attraction. These 70 companies represent nearly 17,000 jobs, both new and retained in our community. The average building size requested, and Derek, shout from the audience if I'm wrong, but it hovers around 160,000 square feet and acreage from 60 to 70 acres. And those are both ranges that are really hard to find in Berks County. We don't have a ton of options right now. And we have about $5.2 million in the funding pipeline for Berks-based companies across several different programs. In our work on growth, retention, and attraction, our team frequently works with the County of Berks Community and Economic Development Team, as Deb mentioned, whether it's on inquiries for buildings or land, financing, or general business support. One of the top challenges that we've continued to see in 2023 and years before is the immediate talent needs and filling the talent pipeline. For the future, this impacts businesses of all sizes and across all industries and is not unique to our community. This is a challenge across the United States. The other challenge that we've really seen pop up really in the last quarter is access to capital. In order for companies to continue to grow and expand, they need dollars. And so we've really fielded increased inquiries for financing opportunities. And so our daily work is often connecting businesses with funding opportunities, and this could be loans, grants, and even tax credits. So over the last 6 months, we've extended $430,000 in funding to NHS for small business lending. The pipeline of funding requests are primarily coming from businesses in the city of Reading. To date, 6 loans totaling $136,000 have closed, and these loans are primarily for working capital. The average loan size is about $25,000. 8 Berks County companies are in the Pennsylvania Industrial Development Authority pipeline for loans totaling $4.1 million or $9.4 million continue to remain relatively low as the traditional prime rate has continued to increase. So this program has again become of interest and has been seen as more attractive. And for qualified buyers, the Pennsylvania Minority Business Development Authority, or PMBDA, so many acronyms, is a loan program that offers extremely favorable terms, and we've facilitated the submission of 2 applications for Berks County companies. And we have the statewide Small Business Credit Initiative, or the PA Catalyst Loan Fund, and Berks County has allocated $2.8 million to be utilized over 3 years. To date, we've had 3 applicants totaling $319,000 and $1.1 million in requests that are in preliminary underwriting. Oops, I was on the right. There you go. And within our work with Berks County companies, our team focuses on targeted business and industry support through workforce development and industry-focused efforts, targeting specifically manufacturing and agriculture, as well as recently nursing, in partnership with the Workforce Development Board. Our manufacturing industry partnership supports our top industry, as I stated earlier, by supporting and bringing together Berks County manufacturers on a quarterly basis. And a primary focus of that group is talent, which is not surprising. We also offer numerous professional development opportunities, and since the beginning of the year, we've offered over 50 opportunities to Berks-based. So agribusiness is a huge industry in our community, and we're pleased to continue to work with the Berks County Department of Agriculture on several strategies. When I was here before, we were getting ready to launch growtogetherberks.com. That's launched, and that website features farmer resources, ag-based events, and more. And on May 30th, we launched a Berks County local food map, which is an interactive map that provides a visual representation of farms and producers with their locations across Berks County. And the Department of Agriculture team put a lot of effort into collecting this information and working with the ag community to make sure that they are represented. And I'm really happy to share that when we launched, we had 160 farms and producers featured, and this has already grown to 224 since May 30th. And our page views have increased exponentially, particularly to this map. So people are using it and interacting with the tool. And of course, we continue to do our monthly e-newsletter focused on ag resources and a quarterly postcard to ensure that everyone is receiving information in a way that makes sense for them. So to continue to position Berks County as a choice for both businesses and people, we utilize the Meet Greater Reading platform to stations growth, retention, and attraction work to showcase what's next and best in our community. And in the beginning of this year, we really took a more strategic approach to our talent attraction work to establish a system of lead nurturing for potential future residents and employees to our community. We partnered with a talent marketing expert company called Roll Call. In April, that plan was finalized, and we're very much in the implementation stage of that plan. Some of that includes working directly with our employers on things like talent attraction workshops, which will be taking place on August 15th and October 5th. And the messaging that we're focusing on, and sometimes it's so nice to hear people from outside the community tell you how nice your community is. And so the things that we're focusing on as a result is proximity and access. We know we have a great location. We've always known that. And really working on our internal perception and rewriting the narrative and highlighting the positive things about our community that are things that all of us can rally behind and feel proud about. Of course, our diverse lifestyle options, urban, suburban, rural, you can have any of those things in our community. And of course, our affordability. And some of the ways we're sharing this message is through a robust social media platforms across all of them, not Threads yet. I don't know if anybody is on Instagram Threads, Commissioner.
I'm on Instagram, yeah.
Okay. And we have a monthly e-newsletter that features people who live and work in Berks County, our community assets, industries, data, properties, and relevant news. And all of this reaches approximately 14,000 people on a monthly basis. And we're really pleased to support the economic development efforts and goals of the Imagine Berks strategic plan, as well as our municipal partners across the county. And I have a picture of David Hunter here because I wanted to shout out the Berks County Planning Commission and David Hunter and his team, who've done an outstanding job in planning and coordinating, really doing all of the things for 9 successful dinners across municipal regions in the county. I think the dinners were incredibly successful and were done in partnership with the Planning Commission, Berks Industrial Development Authority, the Redevelopment Authority, Berks County, and Reading Berks Association of Realtors. And I think that these dinners were really a first step in meaningful and collaborative dialogue that will continue as we all continue working together. So thank you to David and his team. Really great. And I know I've told you about this before, but just wanted to say it again. I'm really pleased to be leading the local planning committee that in addition to David Hunter and Jeremy Zaborowski, who represent organizations connected to Berks County. And so this is the Pennsylvania Economic Development Association conference. It will be here in Reading, October 16th through 18th. I'm really looking forward to having sessions highlighting a lot of the great things that we're doing in our community. And I think the thread through all of the sessions that I can see is that collaboration is what will be showcased and how well our community is doing that. And October is going to be a really busy month because the following week is our Building Berks Awards event. And this highlights commercial, industrial, and housing investments in our community. And the nomination period opened this Monday, July 10th, and will close on Friday, August 11th. So looking forward to highlighting all the great investment in our community this October.
The next time you do that slide, you need to put a bid out for naming rights.
Oh.
Because we have a number, I won't name any of them, a number of excavating contractors that would love that to be their track hoe.
That's a really great point. And one of them is a sponsor. So maybe that could be just a little.
Pay a little bit more,
Yeah.
and that slide with promoting the event will have your name on it.
It's a great idea. Well, thank you so much again for your partnership. We enjoy working with the county and all of the departments, and welcome your questions at this time.
So don't have any questions, but I do want to thank you for your work, for your partnership with the county. No one can do this by themselves. So we need to work together, bring in other organizations such as the IDA, the RDA, so we can make sure that Berks County keeps on moving forward in the right direction. Glad to hear those stats that you provided. I had never heard those. So I think it's something we need to keep on sharing out there, making people aware of, because sometimes there's so much negativity, especially about the city. So we need to share these stats and let people know the good things that are going on here. So really appreciate those. And your work with Imagine Berks and the passenger rail, also very much appreciated. Those are two very important initiatives here in the county. So I want to thank you for your work with that. And also on that, the food map, I think that's great as well, where we can help promote our local producers and our local farmers and the food that they sell. Especially during COVID, we saw that the need of being able to buy local and having access to things that are made locally here because of all the supply chain issues that we had. So hopefully now that turns into, well, we did it because we had a need, now to we're doing it because we want to eat healthy and we want to promote our local businesses. So
Yes.
Thank you for your work in helping to promote Berks County and helping our businesses grow and stay here.
Thank you. And I'm going to send you those infographics after this meeting, so
Yes,
you have
please.
them at your
Yep.
disposal.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
So thank you as well. Back to Deb's comments in the beginning. I know Pam, you and Deb and Aaron and myself and Kevin, we've been here a lot of years. And I absolutely agree with you. I think that this is not just the strongest. There are much more connections between county departments, and I don't mean this in a derogatory sense, the bureaucracy, the government working area, and it's really 4 departments, as I thought. I said 3 originally, but it's community and economic development overseen by Pam. It's our ag department overseen by Emily Wangolo. It's a planning department with David Hunter. And then it's also workforce development with Dan Fogarty. And all of those entities do a great job in and of themselves. But you, and this takes me to my second point, you and GRCA are the connection to the private sector. At the very beginning of your presentation, you had a list of sponsors, went through them pretty quickly. But when you look at that list, that's what should encourage the general public about what is going on here. It's largely driven by the private sector. It's not the public sector telling the private sector, here's the best way to run the economy. It's the other way around. And we've never had this kind of a relationship since I've been here. The last thing I want to say is kudos on your work with ag. I remember very well back in the 90s, and just bringing up Tony Grimm. Tony Grimm, when he was executive director of the then Berks County Chamber of Commerce, was extremely committed to the ag community. Back in those days, we had monthly breakfasts. Every breakfast, the Berks County Farm Bureau and a number of Grange members would have 2 or 3 tables every single time. Ed Hartman was one of the leaders who's passed away, but George Moyer, who's still around, was at almost every single one of these. And over the years, not blaming anyone, that relationship fell away. And before GRCA took up this issue, there was almost no relationship between the ag community and the chamber. And you have recreated and strengthened that in a way I couldn't have imagined. And I know that many in the farm community feel exactly the same way, and I want to thank you for it. I mean, this latest offering is incredible. I think if you had asked me, and I consider myself pretty connected into the ag community, guess how many local ag producers are selling or retailing some of their product in Berks County. I might have come up with 30, 40. I would have never come up with, I think you said 160, and I've seen the map. What's that?
Over 200.
Yes.
Over 200, over 200 plus. That's incredible. And there needs to be a way to get that information out, and you're doing that. So we appreciate it. It's a great partnership.
Thank you. Thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. At this time, I'm going to recognize my executive assistant, Anne Marie Grill, to read the public comment policy.
Thank you, Commissioner Linebuck. Public comment will be accepted in person and through the Q&A function. Please include your first name, last name, and municipality for all comments. Any comments without name and municipality will not be considered. Each citizen can submit one comment. Comment length is dictated by limitations of the platform being used. Teams, Q&A, Facebook, and YouTube. In-person comments will be accepted first, followed by comments submitted virtually. The meeting comment period is limited to a total of 30 minutes, including both in-person and virtual comments. This time period may be extended at the discretion of the board. Please be concise. Comments that are germane to county business will be read during the meeting and should not be considered to be interactive dialogue with the commissioners. The county solicitor shall be the final arbiter of whether a comment is germane and should be read. Any commissioner response to public comment will be done at the discretion of the commissioners.
Thank you very much, Anne Marie. There's no public comment in person or online. I think everyone, at least in our community, is quite aware that this past Sunday, we had some devastating impacts from the storm. The rainfall and impacts varied dramatically. I live up in Tilden Township, and I'm just going by my electronic rain gauge. That afternoon, I think we were a little over 2+ inches between like 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock. There were other areas that were over 9 inches of rain here in our area. There's been a lot of activity, and I've asked our director of the Department of Emergency Services, Brian Gottschall, to give us an update on a couple of key points and anything else, Brian, that you think it's important for the public to be aware of. So at this time, I'll turn the meeting over to Brian Gottschall. Brian.
Commissioner, thank you for the opportunity to summarize the updates that we've been providing to you and the rest of the leadership team over the last few days, as well as to speak to the viewing public and let them know where we're at. You stole a little bit of my thunder in talking about the storm event through the day on Sunday. It was definitely, without question, an unusual storm event. You already mentioned the disparity in rainfall. You set up in Tilden Township, where you live, about 2 inches. I live down in Exeter. I registered about 4.5 on my rain gauge, but according to unsubstantiated reports from citizens, that is somewhat substantiated by National Weather Service radar reporting, we did see up to 10 inches of rain in localized areas throughout the county. Generally, the damages are related to the Cuckoozing Creek in the western part of the county, which is much lower than areas in the eastern part of the county that included the Laurel Run and the Antietam Creek, as well as the Manatawny Creek. Clearly, Lower Alsace Township, Muhlenberg Township, Exeter Township, they were the epicenter for this event, but there is damage being reported pretty much throughout the entire county. Clearly, when we have this type of event, one person's home flooded is a catastrophe, and we have to be we have to be understanding of the impacts that has to them and their family. But we also need to look at this at a community-wide level and understand the programs that are available to help our community recover. And the reality is that many of these programs are based on volume and extent of damage. And that means that we need to go out and try to ferret out as much damage as we can to make a presentation to the state and hopefully ultimately the federal government that the damage in our community was extensive enough to justify bringing in these state and federal programs that can help our community, whether it's individual landowners, renters, business owners, or our municipal governments and school districts to respond and recover from this emergency event. That's the process that's underway right now. Unquestionably, your insurance company is always your first go-to. In reality, your insurance company and your own liquid savings to the extent that you're able to bring those to bear. But we try to make sure that if possible, if eligible, we bring these programs in behind that to help support people that don't have those resources or where the damage has exceeded the coverages that are generally available to them. The reality is that in Pennsylvania, we know that our number one natural disaster risk is related to flooding. Even have flood insurance. I can tell you from personal experience that it is not easy to get flood insurance. It is sometimes hard to have your insurance agent give you attention when you're trying to pursue flood insurance if you're not in an obvious flood impacted area. This flash flooding event, because of the unusual nature of it, is unfortunately the kind of flooding event that disproportionately impacts people who don't have flood insurance, frequently because they say they didn't realize they needed it. You know, if you live on the riverbank, it's pretty clear you probably want to be pursuing flood insurance. But many of the people that were impacted by this storm event would tell us that they have lived in their properties for quite some period of time and have never seen nor heard of their property being impacted in this way. That, of course, makes the recovery very difficult. The number one thing that we need folks to do right now, apart from dealing with their local insurance, dealing with their own personal insurance provider, and or getting their property back in the most healthful condition they can get it in, is to ensure that their damage is reported to their local government entity. Sometimes people don't know who that is. Very simply, it's who you pay your local taxes to. The township, borough, or city that you live in is the first step in collecting the information about these damages so that we can aggregate this and report it up to the state. Excuse me, that process has been underway literally since sunrise the day after the storm event ended, and it continues to this point in time. Please reach out to them, let them know you've had damage, characterize that damage, and assist them in cataloging that. That's really the most important thing that we can do right now to help get these programs into the community. The other thing I want to mention, at least at a high level here, because we're expecting more media information to come out about this yet this afternoon, is the fact that the county and the state are working to make available what is called a multi-agency resource center. This is effectively a one-stop shop where state and county agencies can bring the types of programs that they deliver day in and day out to a single location to make it convenient and easy for individuals who were impacted by the storm to receive those services in person. And the need for these services is going to vary individual by individual, family by family. If you had documents that you lost during the flooding event, you might be able to go to this one-stop shop to help get those documents replaced in an easy and convenient fashion. If you need services of specific state and local agencies that will be represented there, you can facilitate an easier interaction with representatives from those agencies to get those services. We literally have a call at 11:30 with state agencies where we're really finalizing what the nature of the services are that are going to be made available at the mark. So I don't want to get into too much detail about that right now, but I do want to ask the folks in the community that believe they may benefit from this to be attentive to local media outlets, as well as the Department of Emergency Services Facebook page and the county webpage, where we will be providing additional information early this afternoon about what services will be there. What we already do know is that the facility is going to be located at 200 Elm Street in St. Lawrence Borough at the Exeter School District Lausch Administration Building. This is the location that we believe was centralized to the predominant impacts throughout the county and would make it most convenient to allow people to come and get these services. I cannot say enough about Dr. Haller, the superintendent of the Exeter School District, and the Exeter School District Board for their accommodating this need in the community. I reached out to Dr. Howler, began explaining what we needed to do and why we thought it was the best place to do it. She interrupted me and said, Brian, I don't need any more detail. Whatever we can do to support the community, we're ready to make this facility available. And their team has bent over backwards since that time to ensure that we can get this facility open promptly tomorrow at noon. The agencies are going to be there first thing in the morning, getting set up, getting oriented, and establishing a flow in the facility. But tomorrow at noon, the doors will be open to provide services to residents through 7 p.m. Again on Friday at the hour shown, and then again on Saturday at the hour shown. Again, reiterate, please pay attention to local media outlets as well as the county webpage, the DES Facebook page, county Facebook page also, for further details as they're finalized and made published this afternoon in the early afternoon hours. Commissioner, with that, I'll bounce it back to the board and see if you guys have any questions or things that you would like to add.
Thank you very much, Brian. Commissioner?
No question, just Brian. Thank you for the detailed information. I've been receiving requests about people who have had issues with their homes, flooding and so forth. So I will be sending them to the resource center between tomorrow and Friday and Saturday so they can see what help has been available there. I have been asking them to reach out to their insurance companies, but like you said, unfortunately, many of them are not covered by insurance. So
yes, and Commissioner, that actually raises a great point. Thank you for bringing that to light so I can elaborate. What is going to go on at the Mark is not about the direct support for repairing homes or resolving property issues related to the emergency. There are not going to be individuals there making available either grants or loans to individuals who were impacted. To the extent that we're eligible to receive those programs, that will be a process that happens down the road and will happen at another facility called the Disaster Recovery Center, as well as through an online application process. This Mark will really be about helping people access services that are available day to day through state and county agencies, but doing so in an easier and more convenient one-stop shop. So we would encourage people not to make the trip to the Mark to say, you know, I had flooding in my basement and I don't have the money to repair that. What can I get available at this facility? Not really the intent of this Mark at this point in time. Hopefully, to the extent that we're able to access these state and federal programs that we spoke about, that is something that would be to come at a disaster recovery center.
okay, so thank you for the clarification, Brian. So there's really no benefit for them to go there to the Mark, just hold off, report to their local government entity and hold off for now. Is that correct?
But take a look at the media outreach that we do this afternoon and see if the types of services that are going to be made available at the Mark are the kind of things that could benefit them at this point in time.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brian. I also want to note that unrelated to this event, I had scheduled to be at DES 6:30 a.m. on Monday morning and was able to talk to a number of people between 1:30 and 4:30 on Sunday afternoon. 911 received more than 10 times their normal call volume, largely related to this incident. Commissioner Rivera and myself were able on Monday to be with the governor in Lower Alsace. Seeing it in person, it was pretty incredible. You basically have Antietam Creek, the creek that's just outside of the Antietam school, is no longer in the creek bed. The creek bed was completely blocked, and part of the creek was going out on Friedensburg Road, and the other part of the creek towards the building, the Antietam school. The site of the PennDOT bridge work was worse than before they started the work. I mean, the damage above and below, equipment, just absolutely incredible. A number of the people that were impacted were there, telling their stories about how quickly it came up. But I also want to add, our people at the county level dealing with county facilities that were impacted, our 911 DES team, a COO team. I know Larry and Kevin, we were hearing updates all through the afternoon. We really appreciate the team of people that we have that are here to do work for the county, but also to do work for the residents that were impacted. And we greatly appreciate their efforts, especially 911 operators who are, in this particular case, dealing with people that are going through some very frightening circumstances, and they do a great job. They're an amazing group of people.
Commissioner, thank you for opening the door. I didn't want to get into that because I wanted to focus on the recovery efforts and the people that were impacted, but you've given us the opportunity to mention that. You are correct, in excess of 10 times normal volume. Our organization, as with many businesses and government agencies, is dealing with limited staffing, and our folks did an incredible task, did an incredible job throughout the afternoon and evening on Sunday, managing incoming calls and the dispatches. And with that in mind, I also want to mention that 10-time incoming call volume to the 911 center resulted in a proportionate output for our local emergency response entities. Fire, police, EMS throughout the entire day and night Sunday and well into Monday, still doing public service details. As we all know, the vast majority of these fire responders are volunteers who also may have had their homes being impacted, but were out serving their community. It really does, of course, these things are horrible, but it does warm the heart to see a community response like this and the number of people that come together to serve their fellow citizens when we have these types of unfortunate events.
Yeah, very, very good point. And I don't want to miss the impact on the Antietam School District is enormous. I'm not going to speculate what is going to happen long term, but it's pretty clear it would take a miracle for the school to be ready to open. I understand from, and I forget her name, but the superintendent was there on Monday, that teachers and staff come back on August the 14th. That's virtually impossible. And I believe the week of the 20th, somewhere in there, students are supposed to come back. The governor did meet with two of the students that just happened to be there and told them that the Commonwealth is going to do everything it can to see that they're able to start school on time. Obviously, he made it very clear he doesn't have answers or a magic wand to fix everything, but his presence there, and Randy Padfield was there, who's the director of PEMA. He and I were talking quite a bit. It's just pretty dramatic. One of the things that he and I discussed is it's one thing when you have debris cleanup along a stream, but the Antietam Creek, the creek is gone in its main bed, and they're going to have to dig that out, and there may or may not be need for EPA, DEP permits that allow them to fundamentally go down and dig out a channel that's packed.
Yes, absolutely. I think you illustrated in the beginning that we want to avoid speculation, but it is unquestionable that the impact to the Antietam School District is literally catastrophic. I'm so empathetic for Dr. Richelieu at the Antietam School District. She is fairly new in her role, as is Dr. Howard at Exeter, and they're having to deal with these impacts. We're, of course, working closely with the state. We're very worried about this because the way that assistance, that would fall into what is called public assistance, which really means public entity assistance versus public as in the general public. As a government entity, the school district would fall into that category of aid. And the eligibility for that category of aid is extremely objective and is based on dollars and cents of impact. And when you have a major event like this, the county has to reach a certain level of impact, but then so does the state. in order to qualify. And we could have enormous impacts at the county level, but if the state as a whole, inclusive of the county number, doesn't reach that level, we don't have eligibility. And this storm event, because it was very centralized on Berks County, and in fact, in that part of Berks County, we're expecting to see almost no contributions out of other counties towards that public damage number, which means that we really stand alone in needing to be able to aggregate the kind of damage volume that we're talking about. And that's in excess of $20 million is the state number. We have incredible damage here in Berks County among public institutions, but I'm not sure that we're going to make a $20 million number to cover all of the state impact that is necessary on our own. But again, this is what we're trying to get our head around, and the more accurate the information we get collected and can provide up to the state and federal government, the better our opportunities to access those programs for Berks County residents, businesses, and governments.
Well, thank you, Brian. I always appreciate having you on. I think the public, nothing against elected officials, but the public want to hear from the professionals and the people that have been overseeing this, and I know they appreciate your input and comments. So thank you very much. Moving on with the agenda, are there any additions or corrections for the July 6th meeting minutes? Hearing none, the minutes stand approved as presented. There were no executive sessions since our last meeting. Moving to the agenda, item 1, authorizing. Under that, Budget Department, adopt a resolution authorizing 2022 transfers in the amount of $278,755 and 2023 transfers in the amount of $40,000 and 2023 appropriations in the amount of $12,408 per listing dated July 6th of 2023. Something caught in my throat. Excuse me. Under Human Resources, we have several items. Item 1, authorize the appointment of Ashley Trimble to Assistant County Solicitor, CYS. Item 2, authorize the appointment of Christopher Tarantino to Assistant County Solicitor in CYS. Item 3, authorize the appointment of Shahili Negron to Assistant Public Defender 1 in the Public Defender's Office. Item 4, authorize the appointment of Brandon Zafudo to Certified Legal Intern in the Public Defender's Office. Item 5, authorize the promotion of William Tobin from Park Ranger Parks and Rec Department to Veterans Benefit Educator in Veterans Affairs. Item 6, authorize the transfer of Stacy Foreman from Judicial Administrative Assistant to Administrative Assistant in Court Administration. And item 7, authorize market salary adjustments July 12th of 2023 for management confidential employees per the attached market salary adjustment memorandum. Under purchasing, we have one item, adopt a resolution authorizing a recommendation to award and the Director of Contracts and Procurement to execute as a result of an invitation to bid County of Berks Park and Rec lighting upgrades and electrical vehicle charging stations. General contractor would be Hernyson Electric out of Reading, PA. The base bid is not to exceed $65,212. There's an alternate A at $22,900, alternate B $25,500, alternate C $16,700. Total base bid with all alternates would be $130,312. Item 2, motion to authorize execution of contract agreements and amendments as set forth on the contract agenda listing dated July the 6th of 2023. There are a total of 3 contracts, one with CareerLink, one with commissioners, and one with court administration. Item 3, a motion to authorize execution of payments and electronic transfers for the week ending July 12th of 2023. Item 4, a motion to authorize execution of the payments and electronic transfers for the week ending July 20th of 2023, subject to final review and approval of the Chief Operations Officer. And 5, motion to authorize execution of the payments and electronic transfers for the week ending July 27th of 2023, also subject to final review and approval of the Chief Operations Officer. Item 6, motion to authorize execution of employee payroll disbursements dated July 18th of 20, review and approval of the Chief Operations Officer. And item 7, motion to authorize execution of employee payroll disbursements dated August the 1st of 2023, subject to final review and approval of the Chief Operations Officer.
Motion to approve the agenda is presented.
I will second the motion. The motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Bob Patrizio, our Chief Financial Officer. Yes. Just wait a second. Are you turned on?
Sorry.
There we go.
I thought it was.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I was wondering, in the absence of the next 2 weeks commissioner meetings, if we could modify the review and approval by the Chief Operations Officer for budget transfers and appropriations. I just don't see any scenario where we would be able to wait 3 weeks to accomplish that kind of work for requests that are necessary that are over $10,000.
I'm not sure I completely. Which one are you looking at?
Well, I'm looking at, well, you have here, like, it's the execution of payments and electronic transfers.
Are you looking at numbers 4, 5, 6, and 7?
Yes, I'm looking at 4.
All of the ones that are view. And what do you suggest?
Similarity. I'm asking if we could add the ability for the COO to approve budget transfer and agendas, budget transfers and appropriations in the absence. And I'm sorry I didn't bring this sooner.
I absolutely. So if you look at the first item that's always on our agenda,
Yes,
we've missed that we're not going to be here.
yes,
So let's
And
go
often-
very carefully here.
yes.
So the language, let me just go back up there. Adopt a resolution authorizing any necessary 2022 or 2023 transfers or appropriations between now and the next commissioners' meeting pursuant to approval of budget, legal, and the Chief Operations Officer.
Yeah, I don't know if you need legal, but that's fine.
Just, it doesn't hurt. And I don't think there's a need to put amounts. If it needs to be approved and we have the right people looking at it, I think we're fine. That's a very good catch.
Yeah, and I agree. I don't think you need the amount bits. Yes.
So I will make that motion as an amendment, adding item 8 on the agenda.
And I will second that, but I will look for the approval by our solicitor here.
It's a separate, obviously it's not on the agenda,
Right.
but if it's a separate motion made by the board and approved by the board under the Sunshine Law, it is permissible. We'll just have to make sure that the agenda is revised and reposted per the requirements of the Sunshine Law, which we will do. So,
Okay. Related to that? Okay, let's go take a look at the comments that we have here. Again, that doesn't have anything to do with this, right? I don't see it. Oh, she's in the chat. I'm looking at questions. Yes, we do. It's item number 1 is what we're referring to. Yeah, so if you look at the very first item on the agenda, number 2, under budget, that's what we're making it possible so that between now and the next commissioners meeting, anything that needs to be approved can be approved. I see Christine Sadler is also on. Did you want to comment, Christine?
I just wanted to clarify. So there's already an existing practice in play that through legal and COO's office that we can approve up to, I believe, Bob, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it's $10,000 with emergency situations. So I think essentially what Bob's asking to do is to expand the existing resolution, because we do not have the meetings for the next several weeks, to include any necessary budget transfers that are beyond just true emergencies, but for operational needs we would need to do. So that's the distinction here.
That's the correct.
Let me weigh in.
Correct.
I don't want to expand the resolution. I want this to be a one-time thing. So my concern is if I add this to a resolution, the potential exists that can then become the policy going forward, and the resolution intentionally caps any action at $10,000. So
I'm not suggesting we expand the resolution. I think he's asking for an expansion of the existing resolution just for this 2-week window is what I'm saying. I'm not suggesting we permanently expand it. Just for this 2-week window, we have to do an expansion of the authority that already exists so that we can continue operations in an appropriate manner.
Yeah.
So my question is, I believe by adding an item 8 that we just described, that gives the power between now and the next commissioners meeting, as long as budget, COO, and legal agree relative to 2022, 2023 transfers and appropriations, I think does that without even referring to the resolution.
And I would just add this, Commissioner. I mean,
I want to make sure Christine and Cody are okay with that.
Yes, it's fine.
Okay.
yeah, and what I would suggest is you tag it just like you did here for July 20th and 27th. The reason I hadn't brought this up before, because we've only had to go one week.
Right. And that's
And we
pretty
met,
simple.
but our policy in the absence of this is it has to be an emergency.
Right.
And I know from working with the solicitor's office, a lot of what we have on an emergency necessarily.
Right.
But we have vendors that need to be paid, purchase orders and contracts that need to go out. And I just think 2 weeks is too long of a period of time.
Not a problem. I think you have an agreement, and Christine's good with this, and Cody. So moving on, we're going to vote on the amendment first. So all those in favor of adding item 8 as has been described signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So now the main motion is amended and includes item number 8. All those in favor of approval of the agenda with the amendment signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion is carried. Thank you, everyone. And again, Bob, thank you for bringing that to our attention. With that, we'll move to reports of treasurer and controller, and we're going to begin with the treasurer's office, and I'll recognize Linda Weaver.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We have an opening balance of $256,202,376.91. We have a balance to clear of $6,667,058.35, leaving us with a balance of $249,335,318.56.
Thank you very much, and we'll move now to our county controller, Sandy Graffius. Sandy.
Thank you. Our total of accounts payable this week was $8,063,290.50. The end.
Thank you very much, Sandy. We'll move now to our Chief Operations Officer for your report.
Thank you, Commissioner Leinbach. On behalf of the Chief Operations team, we also want to thank all of the staff and people within the county. We started flooding activities on Friday afternoon at the BCRC. We had shin high flooding in the basement at the BCRC on Friday, so thank you to Rex Levengood and his facilities team who really stepped forward there. And then, of course, the catastrophic damage that occurred on Sunday in our parks. Kathy Wegener, Brendan Lederer, as well as folks who were deployed to the Antietam Dam to assess any sort of overage there at the dam breast. Also, facilities was recalled out to BCRC. Then the water was much higher. Again, the jail also had damage, so Dave Himmick and his team, myself and Larry were engaged a lot at the communication level with all our department heads and feeding it back to the commissioners. And a big thank you, especially to Brian at DES and his staff. I don't know when Brian ever gets a chance to sleep. He and Donnie Swope and Matt Stericker and also their 911 staff, just kudos to them. And Stephanie Williams and her team at the library who were impacted at the BCRC, and Diane Edwards and her staff at the BCRC. And a forward thank you to Pam Seaman and MHDD, Jessica Jones with the Area Agency on Aging, and Ken LeBron at Veterans Affairs for their help at the MARC, the Multi-Agency Resource Center, being set up tomorrow morning, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday down in Exeter Township. So it just does my heart glad to hear, without complaining, one of these folks in particular I know had severe damage at their house, but came out and worked for the county. So people in this county really have to recognize the dedication and support our county teams have. Without a moment's notice, they drop what they're doing and get out and supply help, not just to the county, but the folks impacted by this disaster on Sunday. So can't say enough about our team. Just an amazing group of people we have here employed by the county. So thank you.
Thank you. With Commissioner Michael Rivera.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Leinbach. Just a few items here. I also want to thank the county staff who helped on Sunday and on Monday as well, and still continue to work, especially in the parks where there was some major damage. But I also want to thank the first responders in general that were out on Sunday. I had to be out on Sunday and saw flooding in multiple locations. Also saw many first responders out there, ambulances, fire trucks, volunteers in their personal cars out there helping direct traffic, getting things done to make sure everyone is safe. So thank you to the first responders who were out on Sunday. Also, I want to make everyone aware that the Whole Home Repair Program application was closed yesterday. It opened up on July the 5th, and as of yesterday, they had about 190 applications. So at this time, it is closed. So if you were not able to apply at this point, you will not be able to. If there's any money left over, then they may open it up again, but that will be a few months down the road yet until we know about that. The Berks County Fair starts tonight. It goes today through the 15th, so today through Saturday. You can get more information at www.theberkscountyfair.com. Again, www.theberkscountyfair.com. You can see the agenda there as to what will be going on these 4 days there on 183, on County Welfare Road behind 183 in Leesport. The admission to the fair is free. There are some things going on at the fair that you do have to pay for, but the admission to the fair is free. And this is to celebrate agriculture in Berks County and the importance of agriculture in Berks County. So if you have some time these next few days, be sure to drop by the Berks County Fair. Commissioner Leinbach and I will be there this afternoon. It's a legislative day there, and there's some awards for people within the ag community that will be given this evening as well. One last item is the Senior Farmers Market Nutritional Program kicked off yesterday. It was kicked off at the Hispanic Center here in Reading, and this is an initiative between the Berks County Area Agency on Aging and the PA Department of Agriculture. Seniors 60 and over who qualify based on their income get $50 in checks or in vouchers to spend at participating farmers markets. There are some farmers markets that you will get an additional $10 from the county if you use it there. So checks are available at the Berks County Senior Centers and at the Area Agency on Aging office here in the Services Center building. For more information, you can call the Area Agency on Aging at 610-478-6500. And again, this is a way to help promote healthy eating within our seniors and also to help our local farmers as well, because this money needs to be used on Pennsylvania produce. So again, if you're 60 years or older, fall within the income category, make sure you make use of these checks of the Senior Farmer Market Nutrition Program. That's all I have. Back to you.
Thank you very much. My mic is off. Man, all of a sudden, I'm the guy that can't remember to push the button for the mic. Yep. It's not technical. It's not Carl Long in the back. It's Christian Leinbach, the old guy in the front. So anyhow, at least I acknowledge my faults. So next week, Tuesday, Commissioner Rivera, myself, I don't, Justin, are you going to be there? I thought so. Justin, our CIO, will be going to Austin, Texas for the National Association of Counties annual conference. I believe it's Friday or possibly even late Thursday, but Friday there are a number of IS information system related programs Thursday as well. And Justin actually has been a speaker at a number of these programs. He's well recognized across the country for his expertise. And I tell him he's allowed to go as long as he doesn't let somebody convince him to come work for them. He needs to stay working for the county. But does a great job. I will be down there in two capacities, one representing Berks County, gathering information that can benefit our county, but I'm also a board member from Pennsylvania, one of two board members. And as a result, all of my expenses are paid by the state association to attend this event. And I will be in a couple of different board meetings. I am going to be involved. Each year we have to reauthorize any resolutions, and I have been involved in the spotted lanternfly authorization in the Public Lands Committee since 2015, and we've had it reauthorized every time. And the purpose of that is to allow NACO staff to advocate on behalf of the association for funding, research, et cetera, to deal with the spotted lanternfly infestation. It has not spread as dramatically as was originally anticipated, although our friends in Virginia aren't very happy with us because next to Pennsylvania, Virginia has the second worst outbreak in the Western Hemisphere, and it came from Pennsylvania. They know exactly when it came, how it came, but it was too late when they realized what had happened. So that's one of the simple things that we're involved in. That is all that I have. We'll open up any comments from row officers. And we do have one public comment online. Anne Marie, do you want to read that? And I think you can see you have the name and municipality as well.
Yes. Jeffrey Peters from Bethel. Are we entering into any contracts with Wayne County, PA for the housing of juveniles inmates? If so, why are we spending money outside of the county when we have the resources here?
I'd like to know what the resources are here. Abraxas has been the only option. If anyone's been following the news, Abraxas recently had a significant riot. It has not been a reliable option for us, and we are obligated to place juveniles that are criminally charged and or convicted, and there are only certain facilities that can take them. Our jail is not PREA certified, which means we cannot have juveniles in our jail, and there are relatively few that are available. Help me out here, Kevin. Oh, there's Christine. Go ahead.
Yeah. Just to clarify, the agreement.
This is Christine Sadler, our county solicitor.
So the agreement with Wayne County is actually to house our juveniles that are being charged as adults that would normally go into an adult correctional facility, but they have to have sight and sound separation. So we, a number of weeks ago, did authorize the agreement for Allegheny County, Cambria County, and Wayne County, because our jail does not have a separate housing unit that we could dedicate directly for juveniles that are housed as adults. Abraxas does not house juveniles that are charged as adults. We currently utilize Lehigh County for that, but they have limitations because Lehigh County is one of the few resources that's out there. So we have entered into these agreements because there have been a number of circumstances recently where you have a juvenile that's being charged as an adult with a very significant crime, that it creates a community safety issue to allow them to remain in the community. So when this individual talks about what resources here, there's not resources in Berks County to house these individuals. So we're doing these agreements in the event that we need them beyond our current arrangement with Lehigh County.
Thank you very much, Christine.
Yes.
There are no other public comments, so that closes our public comment time period. Is there anything else for the good of the order?
Motion to adjourn.
The meeting stands adjourned.